So Ross, please clarify for us, what's your role in the new Twitter under Elon Musk, especially given we've talked about this a few times this year. You weren't such a fan of Elon Musk owning Twitter, after all.
Yeah, this has been an extremely painful and difficult process for the last 6 months, more so for Elon than me. So when it came down to it last week, they asked if we wanted to invest, and I said yes, because I stick with Elon. He's made me a lot of money over the years, and I have great confidence in his leadership and an ability to turn Twitter around and make it a much better platform. But it was only after I heard the business plan that I was convinced that this was an incredible opportunity, and that's why I'm backing it. And I don't really have a role at this time. I'm trying to get on the either the advisory board or the content moderation board, in the sense of, I think with my background in media and communications, and I actually studied free speech at the Ann Arbor School of Communications at Penn. Actually, at the same time, Elon was studying at Penn as well. And being a liberal, Jewish, mostly Democrat, I think that people would be very comforted to know that somebody like myself might be involved with this type of decision making. So I've made my pitch to them, and we'll see what happens.
So you've seen the business plan. You say, what's in it? What are Elon Musk's plans for this company, to grow it, to make money, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, there's really two parts of the plan. There's Twitter 1.0 and Twitter 2.0. And Twitter 2.0, I don't think Elon is fully sure how that will look, but it will involve a much bigger vision. But Twitter 1.0 is really fixing Twitter and making it a better platform. And it's around a three-pronged approach. First, it's cleaning up the platform and creating some sort of verification system so users are really people, and that will make advertisers and users have a much better platform to share information and ideas than the current system, where bots and sort of attack robots go after everything you tweet. So by knowing who the users are and creating this verification, I think the platform will be a much better place for users. Secondly, it's about creating a subscription model so that not all revenue is derived from advertising, taking some of the power away from advertisers and putting the power back into users. And this subscription will include many different factors, including the verification and many other small benefits, like maybe an edit feature, kind of like what Twitter Blue is now. And then the third part is really about building the creator community. And this is really a combination of combining some of the features of YouTube/Zoom with what Patreon is doing, and a company maybe like OnlyFans, where creators want to be compensated for putting great content on platforms, and really YouTube is the best at doing this. So most of the other platforms, whether it be commerce related like Instagram, or just information or entertainment related like TikTok, don't really have great monetization for creators. And that's really a focus of Elon, which is getting great creators back on the platform and a way for them to make a living. So if they achieve all three of these things, and getting a cut of transactions in the creator economy, as well as subscription revenue on top of the ad revenue, this becomes a much more interesting business.
Let's talk about the Content Moderation Council that he said he would form. He also said there wouldn't be any big decisions until that happens. It does look like Kanye West, or Ye, is back on the platform. Does this mean Donald Trump isn't coming back anytime soon, isn't coming back before the midterm elections?
Well, I'm not sure where Elon stands with these issues, other than he believes, and I agree as well. And I have to say, there's nobody who hates Trump more than me, but I do believe in free speech. And I believe if he follows the guidelines of the platform, he should be allowed to speak, just like the Ayatollah and Putin are tweeting as well. It's like, we can't just arbitrarily decide. So I think having transparency through a process, having better algorithms to identify hate and bad speech, and holding everybody accountable to the same standards is really what Elon's about, in creating a great marketplace for ideas. And whether Trump violates those rules or not, he'll be held accountable to the same rules as everybody.
Now, the reason you weren't excited about Elon being involved in Twitter is because you are a longtime Tesla investor. You're also in SpaceX. Are you concerned about Tesla? Are you concerned about SpaceX and his ability to keep these companies running and growing while he now has a third company that he has to take care of?
Well, I'm not really that concerned about Tesla or SpaceX, in both companies achieving enormous successes and have a very clear path and business plan in front of them, which Elon is guiding. My bigger concern was him being CEO of Twitter for any extended period of time, in that just there's only so much time in the day, and can he really achieve his goals at Twitter along with all his responsibilities of going to the moon and building the biggest, EV tech company in the world. So, how does one person do this? And I think that's a legitimate concern. And that was the one concern I brought up in the conversation, is like, how long is he really going to be CEO? But I think what he's done at all his companies very effectively is found great autonomous leaders that really can run the business when he's running around doing other stuff. And he guides people in a very specific manner. But I also think his engagement, obviously, in different levels will be limited because he now has 3 businesses instead of 2.
Well, what did he tell you? I mean, how long does he plan to be CEO?
Well, I didn't speak to him directly about this. I spoke with his right-hand person, Jared Birchnell. And, so most people who deal with Elon, really, we just don't know, like what will happen next, which is really the beauty and horror of dealing with Elon, So if you want stability, this isn't the guy. But on the other hand, he's going to achieve great things. So I'm not sure. And I think he's digging in now to see what kind of problem he's got to solve. And as I've said earlier, Elon loves trying to solve the most difficult problems in the world. And this is definitely one of them. So he's going to have to put some time into this one. And just the same, I think he's got the team in Tesla in place. Tesla has a great year in front of him, and I don't see that being affected in any way.
So let's talk about the job cuts. I mean, already, much of the executive team is gone. He had said, or there was reporting that he was going to fire 75% of the workforce. Then he said he never said that. So Where do you think he really stands on job cuts? And, how many jobs do you think should be cut, or should they be cut, especially right away?
Well, I know where he stands from what I was told, and I was never told 75%. In fact, I told the Washington Post myself that their number was incorrect, and they didn't fix the article. That said, there will be massive
What's
job
the number
cuts.
Then? What's the number?
50% was what I was told, and so half the people at Twitter are probably going to lose their jobs, and the other half probably will not. And the way to really look at it this way is that Elon is hiring from Twitter this new team that will run Twitter and whatever it will become. And he's starting with the engineering talent. There's a lot of talent at Twitter, and he wants to retain and hire these people. And where we'll see most of the layoffs are at the top and in the project management side, where many of the projects have not come to fruition or not great ideas, and they're going to cut a lot of these projects. And so when you look at the job cuts that they've made already, he's already saved himself, probably $100 million in compensation just from firing 4 very overpaid Twitter executives. So I have no love or belief in the current management team of Twitter. And I think the first thing you do is you start from the top and you start cutting. So that's actually good news for most of the people at Twitter, because if you're a productive, successful person at Twitter, you're going to retain your job, and you should not be worried in the least bit. You should be excited about the opportunity to work for one of the most incredible entrepreneurs of our time.
So let's talk a little bit about Twitter 2.0, as you call it. What does it look like further out? Is it part of this X, the everything app thing? Right. Do some of Musk's other companies have a role? For example, Starlink. Could Starlink have some sort of role in future Twitter?
Well, not necessarily. I think Starlink is an example of where they see Twitter 2.0, because when they started SpaceX, Starlink wasn't even an idea. And Starlink ended up becoming this amazing project out of SpaceX, really. And that's where Twitter 2.0 is, which was sort of like pitched as like, well, we're not really sure what it'll invent, but we know it'll be awesome. And a lot of this will be the incorporation of cryptocurrencies and the digital ecosystem into the commerce and creator element of Twitter. So when you actually start thinking about trading digital goods and services and digital commerce, like with cryptocurrencies, and you add in that element to Twitter as a overall platform for goods, services, ideas, entertainment, and such, it becomes a little bit more of Elon's vision of X. And really where I see this, which kind of hit me last night, is maybe he's building the future operating system for Tesla as well, for all the screens and the millions and millions of cars that will now run on this new communication social platform. So there's a lot to this that people can put together between Tesla, Twitter, software, building an operating mobile system, and building something that will be great for sharing ideas and commerce. Boy, the potential is unlimited. And that's why I invested.